Hello, hello, hello. I want to make sure I'm on all of the right channels. All right, on my YouTube, I'm on Down for the Counts, and I am on Twitter. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, nieces and nephews. How are you doing? Okay, if you watch Smackdown, then you need to get somewhere and pray. Pray for Paul Heyman. Because Pauline he might be dead. Poor Pauline. I mean, one could argue that his comeuppance has been needed for some time, but I'm going to say the comeuppance he got was watching Roman get pinned at WrestleMania, and this is just overkill. Let's go with that. Let's go with that. So we don't, double down too much on the fact that, our good fella is dead. He gone. They done killed him. They done killed him off TV, y'all. They done murdered this man on television, and I've never seen a massacre so poignant like that. It was it hurt my heart to watch it. It was so painful to look at. Poor Pauline, his eyes was bloodshot red. He looked like he had been crying, like he was so distraught and destroyed. And honey, let's just get into it. So let's talk about how the show started, and then we'll go to the end, and then we'll talk about the stuff in the middle. Okay. In the beginning of the show, Solo came out there and it looked like he wanted to do his ceremony at the beginning of the show. But there was a snag in that plan. You see, Randall, Kevin, and Cody were not happy campers after last week's attack. In fact, they were enraged. Okay. And Cody and them came out there, beat the brakes off of Solo, Tama, and Tonga. And then they hijacked the show. They didn't want to leave the ring. So Nick got the security and was like, you got to get them out of there. Security get their ass whooped. They get RKO, crossroads, stunnered. They getting kicked. They getting fucking DDT. Every move you could think of, every one of them security guards suffered it, honey. Okay? And then Cody made it real clear, and so did the rest of the crew, that at Money in the Bank, they was ending their incessant feud with the bloodline. They was done with them. They're done with them. So Nick left and went and got the police. He went and got the ops. He was like, y'all got to get out my ring. Y'all left me no choice. Y'all had me out here going to the fucking police like I'm a snitch out here in these streets because y'all don't want to listen. Y'all got to go. I need y'all out of the building. So after they done caused all this chaos, by the way, Kevin Owens whooped Tonga's ass, okay? Kevin Owens dragged that fool to the back on the side where all the roadie shit be at, and Kevin jumped and did a swanton off the damn barricade onto him where the steps are, child. Took Tonga out. Tonga was out so bad he couldn't even get up for the camera shot of the bloodline all being in the walkway, more specifically the entrance. He couldn't even get up to come out there because Kevin had laid his ass out. Kevin had whooped his ass so bad he was down one shoe when they went to commercial. That's how much he was back there whooping ass. Kevin came out his own goddamn shoe. Child. So after the police walked out, Cody and them, they walked up to the Escalade. The Escalade took off. Cody, Randall, and Kevin were no longer a part of the rest of the show. They were removed from the arena and escorted out and not allowed to return due to their current behavior. And I'm sure they're going to suffer a couple of fines for it. Well, This led to a series of events that we are looking at right now, or that we saw prior to coming on this live. So if you haven't seen it, I'll explain. Paul Heyman asked Solo very kindly to please tell him where Jacob Fatu was. And Solo lied and said that Jacob was not in the building. And he said that the ceremony was for Paul to be a part of the bloodline. That was partially true. What we have seen lately is Solo's slow takeover of the bloodline, an unauthorized mutiny. And Solo has made it very clear that he wants omnipotent loyalty, blind loyalty. No one is to question the tribal chief, even the wise man himself. But if you notice, Paul Heyman has been tormented these last couple of weeks and months, not being able to speak to Roman, not being able to understand what's going on, and getting all his information from Solo, while Solo makes decisions without conferring with the wise man and forces the wise man to make decisions that puts the bloodline in grave danger or in impossible situations. Paul Heyman was at his wit's end today. All he asked was that if he's going to be his wise man, that he allows him to be his wise man, and that he tell him where Jacob Fatu is. Solo once again ignored him and walked out. They all walk out. They come out. They're sitting out there, and they go in the ring. And this is not a ceremony to give Paul Heyman his props. As Paul starts his normal 1-2 ditty, Solo interrupts and demands the microphone. And he essentially says that he wants to introduce the newest member of the bloodline, the Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu. This, of course, stuns Paul Heyman because he was just told that Jacob Fatu was not in the building. And Jacob had been there the whole time. Now, Paul is standing there unaware of what is happening. And then he has to stand and watch each new member of the new bloodline acknowledge Solo as the tribal chief, therefore removing Roman Reigns of any power in terms of being the tribal chief as we know it. Seeing as how he is not physically present to wield his power, Solo technically can take over because he was named the heir of the bloodline. Okay? Follow me. Now, Solo went to each member and demanded that they acknowledge him. Tama acknowledged him. Tonga Loa acknowledged him. And even Jacob Fatu acknowledged him. And then he went to Paul. He asked Paul to acknowledge him, and he brought out the necklace. I'm sorry if I don't know the name of it. Please forgive me. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to their culture. I don't know the name of the necklace, so forgive me. He brought out that ceremonial tribal chief necklace, the one that was bestowed upon Roman, and the one that he also laid upon Roman on multiple occasions. That same necklace was brought out in a bag. And that made Paul Heyman be beside himself because he knows that those mean something to him and to the family itself. So Paul was losing it. Tears in his eyes, acting. He is a hell of an actor, okay? Because he was making me believe like, damn, Paul, it's going to be okay. But it wasn't okay. You see, that necklace wasn't brought out just to be brought out. It was brought out because this is a transference of power ceremony, not just an acknowledgement ceremony. This was the official nomination and acknowledgement of Solo as the new and only tribal chief of the current bloodline. And Paul just could not bring himself to call Solo the new tribal chief. He just couldn't do it. So he denied acknowledging Solo, and this caused a vicious and nasty attack from Solo and Jacob Fatu and everybody in the bloodline. Paul was laid out, and Jacob massacred Paul. They then picked his big ass up and triple power bombed him through the announcer's table. It looked bad, therefore it was bad, and he was laid out. Nick and them didn't get out there until they was rolling the fucking credits for the show to end. And all you see is Frank Lucas, aka Solo, screaming and hollering at Paul Heyman's lifeless body on the floor. Paul, his head hit the floor before his body did. He's not a small man. You have to think, picking this man up in this weight and height, and he falls on his back like that. That's crazy. He could have died. That is a lot of weight to be coming down on your spine at one time. It's a lot. And I'm not even trying to be funny or disrespectful. I'm dead ass serious. That's crazy. And just like that, Paul is gone, laid out, prostrate before the Lord, child. I felt so bad for him. Solo need to leave some wins under that record. I ain't got nothing to do with that. That's none of my business. Paul's blood pressure be through the roof. At this point, he's somewhere in the hospital somewhere. It is a rough night for Paul Heyman. But I will say this. Win, lose, or draw, Paul Heyman is finally no longer under the thumb of Solo and the bloodline. He is not beholden to them. He is not responsible for anything that they do. And therefore, he has some semblance of freedom. He had to pay a hefty price to receive that freedom, but he does have it. So now only time will tell if the real tribal chief shows up and contests this new regime of the bloodline, a more vicious, vindictive, and cruel version of the bloodline. I don't know if Solo's going to get a wise man of his own. If he wants a wise man of his own, I don't know if he's going to do all of that. But I will say that he is giving very much Frank Lucas vibes from American Gangster. And that's my new nickname for that man. His cousin was Nino Brown. Sometimes I would call him Victor Sweet if he was real disrespectful. But he is worse. He is going to be called Frank Lucas from now on because crazy. Okay? I was like, dang, they just left him with his ankle hanging out, child. It looked like it was giving Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall, child. And he had a great fall. Okay. We're gonna give Paul his props for taking that bump, dog. He's stronger than me, because ain't no way. I would have needed to see a couple more zeros in my paycheck for you to put me through a motherfucking table. Absolutely not. Do you think The Rock is in this in any way? From the way Solo is behaving, no, because he would be saying his orders come from the tribal chief, not that he is the tribal chief. I don't know. I would like to think that when The Rock does return, that he's going to keep his final boss gimmick and he will go the route of siding with Solo and or possibly taking over from Solo. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to play out. And I think that that's kind of the beauty of it, is that there's no clear path here that can be taken. There's so many different ways that this can be done. And I think Roman Reigns said it best: when you can swerve the audience, then you've done your job. And they've been doing a very good job at solidifying storylines, but not giving away exactly how everything is going to end. Because while you may be safe and secure in what you think is going to happen, they always find some kind of way to swerve us. Like, look at what they did with Drew and CM Punk, or what's happening with Damian Priest and Seth freaking Rollins. Like, nobody had Seth as one to come back at this moment and challenge Damian for the championship. That was not on anybody's bingo card. I don't care what they say. Okay. Nobody had it on their bingo card that Rhea Ripley was going to be out this long and that Liv was going to be very successful at her job of trying to take everything from her. The things that we are seeing play out before us are not necessarily things that were set in stone in terms of the storylines that it came from or how they were created. We as an audience are watching something play out and we just don't know where it's going. And that's the beauty of how great wrestling is, especially WWE's brand of wrestling at the current moment is very, very good. It's like watching a really good movie or a really good TV series, which it is, but it's live. You know, we watch it play out live. So it's like watching a really good scripted TV series and we don't know which way the direction is going to go. But I will say this, we're going to enjoy the ride the whole way. I do believe that leading into Survivor Series, when War Games comes up, they more than likely will have the old guard versus the new guard. I believe that wholeheartedly. It's too obvious and too good of an opportunity to pass up. So I do believe that that will happen. I think that is set in stone, but how it's going to play out, I can't tell you that. I have no idea, which again, I think is a very good thing. I'm sure he was, Aaliyah. Let's talk about the rest of the show. All right. So we had the qualifier matches. The qualifier matches happened. And let's talk about Naomi, Indy, and Blair. Now, the girls had a decent match. There were some spots where things were a little wonky. I find that with Blair Davenport, oftentimes in every single one of her matches, there's always something wonky happening. I don't know if she's like trying to find her way or, you know, it's a little off for her, but it's been happening more often than not. Also, Naomi, sometimes her matches can be a little wonky sometimes, depending on who she's going up against. I blame that all on chemistry, and I find that Blair doesn't have chemistry with a lot of people. Her chemistry build up with people is very minimal. Whereas some people like Roxanne Perez or people like Bianca and people like Bailey can pretty much wrestle with anybody. Blair is a very specific breed, it seems. But that being said, I didn't think the match was too bad. Actually, there were some really nice moves set up in here that Naomi pulled off that looked really solid. I thought Blair looked great. I thought Indy looked very strong and powerful in this particular match. But ultimately, Indy got her comeuppance because prior to their match, there was a match with for the other slot for Money in the Bank for the women with Tiffany Stratton, Candice LeRae, and what do you want? Nothing. I thought you wanted something. Oh. Well, Tiffany Stratton, Candice LeRae, and Jade Cargill, all of them have all had their match prior to Indy's match, and it was a lot of interference in that match. Not only was Nia Jax out there, which whatever, she was out there to support Tiffany for whatever reason. I don't fucking know. I don't understand why they've decided to put them together. It's a weird, unnecessary partnership that I just don't care for. But that's what they've done. They put them together, and then she came out there, Bianca was out there, and then Indy snuck out there to get rid of Jade in the middle of the match. then I don't know what she thought was gonna happen, if Candace was gonna be able to pick up the win, but Candace is not the one who got the win, seeing as how Candace was the one laid the fuck out. So my problem with this whole match was it was just pure chaos. There was no real structure to it in terms of why certain people was out there. It was just too many fucking people out there during the match. I didn't understand why. I was so confused. I'm like, y'all could have, I don't know, y'all could have argued in the back, whatever the fuck you wanted to do, but this was unnecessary. All right. Did you spray my fucking air freshener downstairs?
Tiffany, no.
Christopher.
Tiffany, I have not touched it. I thought you had it up here.
No, I do not have it, but I smell it. I do not believe you.
Me.
If you spray my air freshener, I'm gonna punch you in your throat.
Tiffany, smell my arm. Smell my arm.
If you put my air freshener on your arm, I'm gonna bust you in your throat.
Baccarat.
All right. I'm not playing with you.
God, I don't even know where it is.
I don't care. I don't want to hear it. Don't be throwing my shit. All right. All right.
Did you tell someone what I said?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, it was just chaos in that whole match. They ended up giving Tiffany Stratton the win, so Tiffany qualified, and they cost Jade the opportunity to qualify. This is how Indy ended up losing her opportunity to qualify. Had she had minded her motherfucking business and let Candace handle hers, she might have qualified because Naomi was out. And all she had to do was go in there and pick the bones because she had already laid Blair out. But because she chose to go into a match and cause some more friction between her and Jade that didn't need to happen, she ended up having Jade come out there and cost her position in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Turnabout is fair play. But had you had minded your motherfucking business, bitch, your ass probably would have been in Money in the Bank right now. Probably would have been in the match right now. But because you couldn't keep your hands to yourself, you now is sitting on the sidelines with your mama, Candice LeRae. Congratulations. Now, the other qualifier match was between these three. Y'all, okay, so let me explain what happened. So, if you didn't watch the NBA Finals or you didn't watch the playoffs, then you wouldn't have understood Tyrese Halliburton being there. And Jared, what's homeboy from the Knicks' name? Jalen Brunson? Okay, so you wouldn't understand the significance of why what's his name? Halliburton was there. Now look, during the playoffs, the Knicks and the Pacers was going back and forth, but the Knicks could not keep up, and they ended up getting put out by Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers. Okay, in their house, wasn't it on their floor? It was on their floor. It was on that court in Madison Square Garden. Okay, stay with me, and I'm gonna bless you. Okay, now moving forward to now. Okay, because the Pacers ended up getting their asses handed to them by the fucking Boston Celtics, okay? Which was rightfully deserved, if you ask me, because I don't fucking like the Pacers, no way. But anyway, and I can't stand the Boston Celtics, but that's a whole other conversation for another day. Anyway, so you got two rivals in Tyrese Halliburton and you got Jalen Brunson, okay? Now, Jalen Brunson was sitting front rear, okay? Tyrese Halliburton's punk ass came out there with fucking Logan Paul, and Logan Paul is out there talking about somehow he won. He brought out a real winner, a person who's actually won in Madison Square Garden, and brings this tall, lanky, gumpy-looking motherfucker out there, and the whole arena is booing his ass to the rafters because they are in New York country, and you know they don't fucking like him. Okay? So, LA Knight was already out there. Santos was out there. Now, I'll admit, I thought for sure Santos was gonna win this match. Okay, I don't know why, but I just assumed that Santos would be the one to win. Okay, I figured they would let LA Knight not be in the match and they would move forward with them going at it for the US Championship. Right? Right. But that's not what happened. There was some interference being ran in this match. And it seemed like it was shoehorned into the match. This was not organic. This was wedged in there for some odd reason. During the match, I guess Logan Paul had got to himself and was like, you know what? I'm probably not gonna win this fucking match. And you're right. You're 100% correct. You were not gonna win this match. First of all, your punk ass shouldn't have been in it in the first place. I don't understand exactly why they put you in the match. I'm very fucking confused about that because I feel like you haven't defended that title in over a month. I want to say it's been quite a while. And they're trying to wait and let you defend it at SummerSlam. I think that's what's happening here. But putting you in these types of matches and taking the opportunity away from somebody else, like you could have gave that slot to fucking Apollo Crews, to be honest with you. You could have gave this qualifier slot to Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin's back there. You could have gave it to Odyssey. Odyssey ain't been on TV, ain't been seen since he been drafted. Giovanni Vinci, if he's not injured, he's back there. You got so much potential. What about Cedric or Ashanti Adonis? You could have gave it to any one of those dudes before you gave it to fucking Logan Paul. And I don't care about none of y'all talking about, if y'all in the comments talking shit, talking about, oh, Logan is a draw. I don't give a fuck about none of that. Because it's Madison Square Garden, bitch. They don't have to do nothing to advertise this. He wasn't needed. He wasn't needed. They weren't in a small ass rinky-dink town or in a town that's smaller than New York City. They were in fucking New York. They didn't need Logan Paul to advertise for WWE. They don't need that shit. The fuck? No. So, no. He didn't need to be in the match. He didn't need to be there. He could have kept his ass at home like he always do, or go play another motherfucking Tetris tournament and chill like he always been doing. Any whoosies. They had their match. The match goes on and everybody's fighting. All of a sudden, well, Tyrese Halliburton came out there with him. But all of a sudden, towards the end of the match, Logan calls for his brass knuckles from that bitch he calls a personal assistant. Now, Halliburton is bringing him the brass knuckles after he all banging on the damn steps with it and shit. And that's when Jalen hops the barricade and come over there like, nah, fam, you're not finna do that. And he was like, what you gonna do? He was like, you not finna do that. And then the rest go over there, separate them, and they pull Jalen out. They push Jalen out. And Halliburton stays. Okay. Halliburton attempts to give him the brass knuckles, but it doesn't go over well. Santos ends up getting laid out. And then he tries to go for a roll up. Logan does, trying to hold the tights and cheat. But that's when he ends up getting rolled up himself by LA Knight. And LA Knight holds his tights to hold him down. And that's how LA qualifies for Money in the Bank. Okay. Now, of course, Logan is livid. He's like, you cheated. You were holding my tights. Not to mention, he did the very same thing. And not only did he do that, but he used brass knuckles or attempted to. So, of course, Tyrese and him is standing in the ring like, I got you and you got me. All right, cool, bet. So he surrounded him. And that's when we see Jalen Brunson come up with a whole ass chair. And I'm like, y'all ain't finna do nothing. We know y'all hoes is not finna do nothing. Y'all season of basketball starting like what? Jared, when the new season of basketball start? 3 months? They wasn't gonna do shit. They got a whole motherfucking season to play in 3 months. And that damn schedule is nasty. Them games be back to back in the beginning of the season. Bitch, you not finna fight. You not finna fight. Get the fuck out of here. Shoot. Y'all wasn't gonna battle no way with y'all punk asses. Anyway, that's how that ended. Now, there was a vignette in the back. You see, Street Profits want to get their hands on the bloodline too. Not only are Kevin, Randall, and Cody after the bloodline, but so is the Pride. They want a match with the bloodline. Nick, like, listen, I can't give you a match this week, but we can talk about having a match next week. And then that's when Pretty Deadly pops up. We ain't seen Pretty Deadly in a while. So Pretty Deadly is like, listen, we got a great proposition for you, Nikki. Look, just listen to our proposition. Pretty Deadly, the musical. And I was like, oh, baby, no. Darkness is like, nigga, we don't want to hear that shit. Montez was like, no, I got it. I got the perfect thing for you. It's Pretty Deadly, the beatdown. Sponsored by the Pride. I like that. I like that. Y'all like that? Y'all like that? Yeah, we like that. Nick, like, I like it a lot. In fact, I'm going to book it. Oh, so next week is the Pride versus Pretty Deadly. I'm kind of glad to see Pretty Deadly because they are a nice comic relief, but they also can really, really wrestle. So they're fun to watch. They're a great combo. Anyways, sir, we also got a backstage segment between Apollo Crews, Baron Corbin, and none other than Carmelo Hayes. So Carmelo Hayes is still cocky, bragging and arrogant about him being a part of Money in the Bank and how he's going to win and take the title off of Cody and become champ. And of course, Apollo and them are like, dude, look, I'm all for you being confident in your skills and what you can do, but you are beyond arrogant and it is not cute. Like, I need you to just calm the fuck down, bro. Like, you're not the only one in that match. And quite frankly, the odds of you winning are very, very low. He was like, you need to chill and be more focused on your opponents and not on what you are and what you're capable of. Carmelo was like, I ain't trying to hear nothing you talking about, bro. He was like, I qualified. I'm a former NXT Men's Champion, 2-time North American Champion, just run the gambit. And he was like, it doesn't matter. He said, if it's the yeet or yay, at the end of the day, it's going to be Mellow in the bank. And that's facts. I was like, okay, girl. You've been saying it's gonna be a lot of shit for a long time, and babes, it wasn't happening. So, I don't know. I don't know, Carmelo. We don't believe you. You need more people. But y'all, majority of the show was focused on the bloodline. However, I will say that it was a pretty interesting setup. I'm very curious as to how this is going to play out after Money in the Bank. If you notice, Solo and none of the Bloodline members are involved in the qualifiers. However, they do have a 6-man tag team match for Money in the Bank, but they have not announced exactly who is going to participate in that 6-man tag team. If it's going to be the Samoan Werewolf and Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, then that's a problem because Jacob Fatu is a very, very gifted athlete. We are not talking about somebody who has just a pretty monotone moveset. Jacob's moveset is very, very vast. And for him to be now at a size where he actually can high fly and hit that shit faster than he was doing it before is scary as hell. Because when Jacob was double the size that he is now, he was doing backflips and jumping off the ropes and everything that the high flyers do. Everything Ricochet's ass was doing, fucking Jacob was doing at double his weight. And if you think for a minute that man is not going to be out there tearing people up, you are crazy. You're crazy. But I will say this, though. Jacob Fatu's entrance is fire, and I love his music. It is amazing. It is amazing. Okay. It's beautiful. I love it. It fits him. Naomi had a fire ass gear. She did. She had it. It was Xbox inspired, and the buttons was on her chest, and they spelled out glow. She had the buttons, the plus button and analog buttons on her kick pads and covers. It just looked dope. I just loved it. I would have never thought to do anything like that. And Naomi is just so creative and so cool with her gear. Like she just be really out there doing her thing, and I love that. Do you think when Naomi wins, she might turn on Bailey? Turning on Bailey, I don't think so. With her being a face character, I think she would tell Bailey straight up she would cash in on her. I don't think she's gonna cash in on Bailey though. I think if Naomi wins, Naya's gonna beat Bailey at SummerSlam for sure. I don't see her not doing it, especially now with Tiffany Stratton in her corner. I don't see that not happening. Quite frankly, I feel like if Rhea Ripley wasn't champion on Raw, she more than likely would have been champion last year. But because Rhea was there and was already champion, they weren't going to give it to Nia, which is why she was moved over to SmackDown. And she probably will become champion, and Tiffany going to be her little sidekick for a little while until she decides that she wants the belt for herself. However that happens, it makes no never mind to me. But no, I don't think Naomi's gonna turn on Bailey. Yeah, that was big brosive. Nia and Tiffany is giving that old storyline they did with Nia and Alexa. Is it? Because I don't get that from that at all. With Nia and Alexa, it kind of made sense. Like Nia was being used by Alexa Bliss, and Alexa Bliss had something to gain from having Nia Jax on her in her corner. To be fair, does Tiffany Stratton have something to gain to have Nia Jax in her corner? Sure, but Nia is the one who has the opportunity to be champion, not Tiffany Stratton. So to me, the only thing that Tiffany did was secure her opportunities with Nia, which if you resting on your own talent and your own merit, you don't need no help to do that, babe. But y'all, if you like it, I love it. Go off. Can we hurry up and take the belt off Paul? They're waiting until SummerSlam, and more than likely, he's either gonna drop it at SummerSlam or after. I hope he drops it at SummerSlam. I can see how you relate them. I don't, honestly. I can't see Yeet winning Money in the Bank. I feel like the bloodline will cost Jay. Cost Jay the match for what? For what? They're not feuding with Jay Uso anymore. There's nobody in this match that any of them is feuding with, and quite frankly, it wouldn't make sense for them to cost Jay Uso the match just yet or to come in and do anything. If that's the case, then they could have just stopped him from qualifying altogether. Why did you post this twice? That's interesting. Anyways, so the match cards have been updated for Money in the Bank to include obviously LA Knight. And now we're including Naomi in that card because she has also qualified. And Tiffany Stratton is also included because she has also qualified. We have one more match to determine who will go to Money in the Bank. And that last match, hold tight, is on Monday, and that is when Zoe Starks faces off against who is in that match? It's Zoe Starks and somebody. Fuck's sake. I have to pull it up. Oh, it's Dakota Kai, Ivy Nile, and Zoe Starks. They are all in the next Money in the Bank qualifier. And then the last men's Money in the Bank qualifier is Sheamus, Drew, and Ilya. They are the last ones to qualify for Money in the Bank. There's only one slot left for the men and one slot left for the women in the Money in the Bank match. So, ladies and gentlemen, all right, y'all, I hope y'all watched SmackDown. If you didn't, you really missed out on a treat. It was a really, really solid show. They started off real strong, kept the mess up throughout, and then they ended on something even messier. It was nuts. Oh, it was so bad. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I truly enjoyed SmackDown today. So much so I almost didn't get much commentary done because I was too busy watching it, which that is an even better sign. But I hope y'all will watch Money in the Bank because these are the matches that are going to be shown at Money in the Bank. There are 5 matches scheduled for Money in the Bank, and I don't think they're going to add any more. Right now, the only titles on the line are the Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn will be challenged by Braun Breaker for the IC title. And then Damian Priest's championship is up for grabs at Money in the Bank. Cody is on the card, but he is not defending his championship. He's, I guess, defending his honor because he is competing with Randy and Kevin Owens to go up against Solo and the rest of the bloodline. Now, we don't know which 3 members of the bloodline will be competing since there are 4 members, and technically under the Freebird rule, anybody within the group can represent the bloodline. So we don't know who exactly that is yet, but I guess we'll find out the night of Money in the Bank. And then, of course, we have the 2 Money in the Bank ladder matches, which are going to take up a significant amount of time. The men's ladder match consists of LA Knight, Carmelo Hayes, Chad Gable, Jey Uso, and Andrade. And the women's ladder match, which I think is probably the most interesting, is Io Sky, Naomi, Lyra Valkyria, Chelsea Green, and Tiffany Stratton. Now, the last entrant in here for the women is not going to be interesting unless it's Dakota. Which, to be fair, I don't want 2 members of a faction in the ladder match because they're just gonna work together to put people out. And I'm at this point, I'm just exhausted from that because that's what they did last year with Money in the Bank. I wouldn't mind Ivy being in a match. I think she would be fun to watch. Zoe would be my last. She would be the last person I would want to be in that match because she annoys me. January 6th get on my nerves. But in this match, the triple threat match for the men, I think that's probably going to be the most interesting. McIntyre, Dragunov, and Sheamus. This is going to be a hard-hitting match, but a lot of fun to watch. And I just cannot wait to see all of the action. So this will finally solidify everything that's set in stone for Money in the Bank. And the last thing we'll have to do is just wait until Saturday when the show starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're finally able to watch Money in the Bank at a normal time, okay? Because the last 2 PLEs, we've been having to get up at almost 12 so we can catch the show between 1 and 2, honey. And while I love the overseas crowd and I love them so much, I am a spoiled brat American. I am that, and I like getting up and cooking and having my snacks and shit ready and watching Money in the Bank in peace. So I hope y'all enjoyed the show and the recap of SmackDown, and I will see you guys in the next one, which is Monday after the final Raw for Money in the Bank. Also, if you guys would like to hear what we think about Judgment Day, Liv Morgan, and the top 5 managers, our favorites and all-time managers, then you guys should head on over to Down for the Count and check out our podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's all over there so you can listen to it on your iPhone and you can listen to it on Spotify as well. Okay? Thank you so much for being a part of the show today, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.